other thing is that America freed the slaves in 1863 through the Emancipation Proclamation of Abraham Lincoln, but gave the slaves no land or nothing in reality, and as a matter of fact, to get started on. At the same time, America was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that there was a willingness to give the white peasants from Europe an economic base. And yet it refused to give its black peasants from Africa, who came here involuntarily in chains and had worked free for 244 years, any kind of economic base. And so emancipation for the Negro was really freedom to hunger. It was freedom to the winds and rains of heaven. It was freedom without food to eat or land to cultivate, and therefore it was freedom and famine at the same time. And when white Americans tell the Negro to lift himself by his own bootstraps, they don't look over the legacy of slavery and segregation. I believe we ought to do all we can and seek to lift ourselves by our own bootstraps. But it's a cruel jest to say to a bootless man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And many Negroes, by the thousands and millions, have been left bootless as a result of all of these years of oppression and as a result of a society that deliberately made his color a stigma and something worthless and degrading.
After the Civil War in the United States, there was an expectation that formerly enslaved people would receive reparations or support to help them transition to freedom, such as land or financial assistance. However, many of these promises were not fulfilled. In contrast, European peasants often received land or other forms of support as part of efforts to promote economic stability and growth. This difference highlights the varied approaches to addressing the needs of different populations and the long-term impacts of those decisions. The legacy of how different groups were treated after significant historical events continues to influence discussions about equity and justice today. Understanding these historical contexts helps us better address present-day challenges. 40 Acres and a Mule. It originated during the Reconstruction era after the Civil War. In 1865, Union Army General William T. Sherman issued Special Field Order No. 15, which allocated land to formerly enslaved families in 40-acre plots along the coast of South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. The idea was to provide economic independence to freed people. However, this policy was short-lived. After President Abraham Lincoln was assassinated in 1865, President Andrew Johnson, who succeeded Lincoln, reversed many of the Reconstruction policies. Johnson returned the confiscated lands to the original white landowners, and the promise of land to freed people was not fulfilled. This reversal had lasting effects on the economic opportunities available to African Americans and contributed to systemic inequalities that persisted for generations.
Before leaving the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe bell and hit the like bell. It helps the channel grow. Thank you.